Hello, everybody, and welcome back to this Thursday, October 3rd edition of The Log Show. How you guys doing today? I got some special guests this week again for you guys. I got my boy Ryan over here, just like last week. I got Frank as well. Obviously, we will be talking about this week's football slate. We will be talking about week 5. Obviously, a big game tonight, an NFC South matchup between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Atlanta Falcons. Not only that, the MLB playoffs are underway. It is the great month of October. We got Mets game 3 tonight, if I am correct. We have Mets game 3 tonight. Not only that, we also have
I think that's the only MLB game.
No, I know that's the only MLB game tonight, but you guys,
I think so.
You guys would know this better than I do. When does the divisional series start? Tomorrow?
The Yankees series starts Saturday. So
Saturday?
I think it doesn't start. I don't think there's any games. I don't think there's any.
So they give that like day
divisional
break.
Series games tomorrow.
So they'll give that day break tomorrow,
They
and then
schedule that Saturday game before the results of the wild cards.
All right, so yeah, then we got the divisional series underway on Saturday. Obviously, I'm a Yankee fan. I don't know if either you guys are Mets fans. I mean, the Mets are rolling, but I am a Yankee fan, so everything's looking great for the Yankees right now. Everything looks like it's setting in place for this Yankees team to hopefully go on a run, but we will talk about what happened in the wild card round. I mean, you guys will probably lead the discussion a little bit on that. I'm going to be asking more questions there than I will have answers. But I do want to just get into it, start with this NFL slate this week. And, I mean, the main thing everyone wants to hear about today, so we'll get into depth about this game, and then we'll kind of just go through and pick and talk a little bit about the other games, because obviously, like I said, I do want to talk about MLB. There's UFC 307 this weekend as well. I'd like to talk about that. And sadly, we only have an hour here. So, Bucks travel into Atlanta. The 3-1 Tampa Bay Buccaneers travel into Atlanta to play the 2-2 Atlanta Falcons. Both teams of which have looked, I believe, better than a lot of people felt to start the year, especially Tampa Bay. Baker Mayfield has been in the MVP conversation, at least was through the first 3 weeks. I feel a lot of people still have him up there through 4 weeks. I mean, obviously 4 weeks is early, but he's been playing exceptionally well. The defense has been clicking. They've only allowed 1 pass touchdown this year. So Tampa Bay's been clicking. And then on the other side, you have the Falcons, who have been in nothing but close games this year so far. Their largest margin of their largest point differential was week 1 against Pittsburgh when they lost by 8. Besides that, it was a 1-point win in Philly. It was a 4-point loss against Kansas City and a 2-point win against New Orleans. So they've been in nothing but close games and proven that they are doing well in these close games. So another big one tonight. I mean, yeah, if you guys have anything to add, I mean, it seems like it'll be a really good matchup tonight. Obviously, Bijan Robinson has had a little bit of a slower start to the year, but he's being used more than he was last year. So hopefully we'll see some of him tonight. You have Irving down there in Tampa Bay, who seems to be doing well with the help of helping Rashad White in that backfield. But yeah, this arguably could be, on a Thursday night for the first time in a while, one of the best games this week.
I think this is one of the most intriguing games being played so far. You have a team like the Bucks, who really weren't projected to do much coming in and have gotten a lot of good wins, and you have the really scrappy Atlanta Falcons that have that kind of feeling of a team that's just going to claw their way to a playoff spot. You know, they kind of have that scrappiness that I thought the Chargers would come in with. And I'm just super high on Drake London. He had another great game against the Saints, and that was a fantastic game as well. I think the Falcons going in are just going to have so many good game of the weeks. They're just going to be the team to watch. Big Kirko is a great storyline. Robinson has been slow, and I also really want to see Michael Penix out there, because I think he was one of the best rookie quarterbacks. He's been kind of wasted there, but maybe a spot opens up for them. I'm really high on the Falcons this game. I've been flip flopping on which team I'm picking, and I probably won't even come to an answer by the end of this episode.
I mean, yeah, I'm in the middle too. I pay a lot of attention to both these teams. Obviously, being a Saints fan, them being in my division. I saw the Falcons last week. They have a lot of secret pieces too. That Kirk Cousins is doing a very good job at getting the ball around there. Obviously, Drake London's a big name. Everybody knows of Drake London. But not only do you have Drake London, Darnell Mooney's been having a pretty solid year. He's leading their team in receiving yards at the moment. He's been doing pretty good getting open. They have Ray McLeod down there in those underneath routes. They've been using him a lot in the short game. He's been making an impact. You know, he's 15 receptions, has a good amount of targets. So Kirk's definitely getting the ball around there. Obviously, Kyle Pitts, slower start to the year, but he's been proven to be a weapon if you can get him going. So you have, and then I talked about it before on the flip side in Tampa. You have a lot of weapons there. You have Irving, you have Rashad White, you obviously have Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. You have a lot of pieces on that defense that are really, really good. So yeah, I mean, this is going to be a good game. This is really going to be a good game.
I'd love to trust that Buccaneer defense, but they did kind of get diced up by Bo Nix a couple weeks ago, and that was the game that, to your point on Baker Mayfield being an MVP candidate, that kind of lost my faith. That game for Baker when he put up 160 yards, a touchdown, interception, that kind of fell apart offensively. Now Bucky Irving's status as the running back 2, kind of pushing himself into a running back 1 slot on this team, is becoming more and more prominent. I think Rashad White's fall off has kind of been disappointing to see, but I'm hoping that he's going to bounce back. As for the wide receiver weapons, I think Mike Evans is arguably, if not the definite, greatest red zone threat you have across the league right now. And you could call it that he has a double me X factor. He's had a lot of scenarios where he's in one-on-one coverage, and that's easy work in the corner of the end zone. Courtland Sutton is a guy that would be right behind that in my category of guys you can throw it up there in the end zone for. As for the Falcons, in week 1, I'm glad that story wasn't a telltale for the rest of the season. It looked like it was just going to be a feed Bijan and let him roll for the rest of the season type of vibe, where he had 18 carries in that week 1 matchup. And Tyler Algier was not involved much in that game, but Ray McLeod was the top receiver there. So after that slow start for Drake London, I'm glad to see that he's involving himself more in the offense. He has gotten going, which is what they need. And I like the use that Ryan used of the word scrappy for this Atlanta offense, because guys like those aren't the powerhouse guys you're usually looking towards. But with Bijan Robinson getting so many touches, other than against the Saints, I believe it was, where Algier actually out-carried him. He had more attempts, which is not something that I would really want to see from the offensive coordinator for the Falcons. So if Bijan can keep getting the touches up, and Darnell Mooney steps up as a wide receiver 2 above Ray McLeod, I think Atlanta could have some success. I am going to lead towards Tampa Bay tonight, though.
Really, it sounded like you were so pro Atlanta that entire rant until you said Tampa Bay. I was gonna say one of the biggest X factors and I legitimately mean this when I say X factor, is Young Ho Ko. I think you talk about they've played a bunch of like, you know, you wanted to mention him. I know.
Gosh darn Young Ho Koo with the 58-yard field goal.
But that's their point. You said they played a bunch of close games. Young Ho Koo has not missed a field goal. He's 3 for 3 from 50 plus. He's a guy that I think today he could make a big difference.
No.
Maybe a big difference, and then a wide receiver 2, a wide receiver 3.
You're 110% right there. He could definitely make a big impact. Like he's gonna, and this is the type of game where like these NFC South matchups. You saw it last week in the matchup with New Orleans. Like even when those teams maybe they're all built similarly defensively. They all kind of play hard-nosed defensive football outside of Carolina, who really is just they're their own little situation over there. But so it could definitely come down to a kicker situation because you're gonna need points when you could take them in this game in Atlanta through from both of them, and you have that advantage of. Like you saw me get a little angry about it before because the Saints had that game won. Alvin Kamara scored a touchdown. They had no timeouts left. With a minute left, you get a pass interference call and a kicker that could kick a 58-yard field goal, which is the longest field goal in that stadium's history. It wins you a game.
Yeah, I think both defenses on this team are good enough that they can make stops and force kicks to happen. And really, I think the special teams in Atlanta they got something special, no pun intended, going on down there. I really do believe in we keep saying a scrappiness of this team. I might be leaning the Falcons here. I like their vibes right now, despite the Buccaneers starting 3-1 when no one really expected them to. Baker Mayfield's obviously a great story, but I love again also the Kirko to Draco connection that I kind of coined last week. But I think I'm leaning towards the Falcons at Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
I think it's all going to be in the Atlanta defense in this game because the Buccaneers defense has slowed down since the Brady era. I don't think it's the same. A lot of their cornerbacks they've lost. I was just watching one get torched by DK Metcalf a couple days ago in the Lions Seahawks matchup. I don't remember. I don't know if it was Carlton Davis or somebody else, but the cornerback situation in Tampa is not the way it used to be about 3 years ago. So I think the matchup that is going to be more concerning than that, though, is can Atlanta handle the Godwin-Evans duo? Because there's really not much behind that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree that it's definitely not the same it was during the Brady era where you had all those pieces.
And Troy Anderson's out too. He was a huge linebacker for them for that defense.
Yeah, so you're definitely missing pieces. It's not as good as it used to be, but I'd say I'm going to lean Atlanta too. Just I'm someone who feels this way weird, and especially when you go into a divisional matchup like this game. Winning 33-16 and dominating Philly at home is almost not good. I mean, I don't know. I didn't watch practice. I didn't watch the Bucs practice this week. Obviously, I'm not that connected to that team, but this is a team that like the Bucs. It was a high-scoring game against Washington week 1. They got blown out by Denver. I mean, yeah, the Detroit game was only a 4-point game, but like we talk about this whole close game thing with Atlanta, and Tampa Bay hasn't seen it yet. And I think as much, they only really saw it that 1 week. Mm-hmm. So, I think coming off such a big win could be, you could get off to a slow start, and that could be a problem.
I really don't want to bring up the term of cupcake schedule because they've played all 4 teams they've played have been legit teams. Washington, Jaden Daniels has been great. Detroit is one of the best teams in the NFL. Denver with Bo Nix has looked like they started to figure it out a little bit, and Philadelphia came into this season probably as the NFC East favorite. So I don't want to even say the claim that they haven't had tough, hard fought games, but it doesn't feel like they've been truly challenged in like a close grueling game.
Yeah, exactly. That was a great way to put it.
Have taken down Philly already. It's kind of crazy. Philly's bummed.
Philly is the most fraudulent team. They're the weirdest team in the NFL.
Yeah, they're almost like too flowy, if you know what I mean. Where it's if they're in a flow, they could click, but like the minute AJ Brown went out, and now they have no Devonta Smith, and it's like everything. I mean, the minute AJ Brown went down was really where it all kind of seemed to. It seemed Jalen Hurts just didn't have that emergency button that, like, maybe, I don't know. I don't want to say he doesn't trust Devonta Smith enough because Devonta Smith is a good receiver.
Devonta's fantastic.
But A.J. Brown's A.J. Brown at the end of the day, so.
And I also think Saquon, after the week 1 where you thought he was just going to take over the league, has slowed down a lot. He's been overpassed by a lot of running backs. But I think the bye week is going to be good for them. I think they need to practice a little bit more. I think they need to they need to figure some stuff, especially on defense. They need to figure stuff.
Yeah, definitely. No, I think the bye week will be huge for them. They come out of the bye playing. I can't remember who I'm pretty sure it's a divisional game though.
I think AJ Brown should be back after the bye. As far as
I'm like 90% sure is true that AJ Brown should be back within like the next 2 weeks.
Looks like they have Cleveland next Sunday.
Oh, all right. But so yeah, that's perfect for them out of a bye too, for what this team needs, because you have the bye week. If AJ Brown is healthy for Cleveland, you don't have to play him every snap. You could give him time. So yeah, I mean the Eagles are not in a bad spot, but
even Dallas Goedert is a sneaky guy that can contribute some points for you. Their offense. Oh yeah. I think the story. It's not too difficult to explain what's happening to the Eagles. I think their offense has all the tools on paper to be a Super Bowl team. Their defense is terrible, and their coaching, especially down the line during a lot of those fourth quarter snaps. Like the plays that Sirianni draws up, just really don't look convincing to me, especially with a lot of the schemes that these incredible defenses run. But
He's going
No,
this year.
and I mean, I feel like honestly looking at the teams on a bye before we move on, just because we got into this, I think the bye week is big for all four of them. I mean, you have Detroit, who I think that's the only team that I think a bye week this early might affect negatively.
yeah, they have all the momentum right now.
That's what I'm saying. Like they have a lot of momentum right now. They're going on a bye, and then they're going to be a team that's going to be competing late. So not having that break later in the season, but like you have the Chargers who are in a 50-50 situation who kind of need to figure it out. You have the Eagles who are in that same situation where it's like figure it out.
Yeah.
And then you have the Titans where maybe they're not in nearly as positive as a situation as the other two, but they still got to figure it out.
I think they're in a worse situation than the Jaguars because they don't like. I don't see any potential in Will Levis.
That's what I mean. I don't know what to do with Will Levis.
I let Mason Rudolph just keep going.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to see Will Levis on the field just because internet-wise, it's been great for 4
The
weeks.
memes have been awesome.
Oh my God, him diving, the dude on his head. Now there's the one of him in pain. Oh my God, Will Levis. You might not be great at playing in the NFL right now, but shout out to you. You're a funny guy, at least. I'll
He's
give
funny,
you that.
Yeah, I feel like we're straying away from the Bucks game right here, and I want to see if you will. Which side you're swaying towards, though.
No, yeah, I think I'm leaning Atlanta. I do. I think I'm leaning Atlanta. I like what I saw. I watched a lot of that game last week. I mean, I'll be honest. Without a Paulson Adebo looking like he's never played cornerback before, I don't know if Younghoe Koo gets that field goal because that's literally how it happened. Like that play was baffling to me. And then also, I don't know if you guys did watch any of the Saints game, but so Paulson Adebo does what any cornerback does when he gets beat deep, and instead of letting him catch it just clotheslines the dude. And then I actually watched him, instead of being a good cornerback and being like, yeah, like I had to just take the pass interference, I watched him argue with the ref for a solid 3 minutes. And then they showed the replay. The man did not take even half an inch of a turn towards the football to make it look like he was playing on the ball. But
That's some weird stuff going down in New Orleans.
yeah, the New Orleans is an interesting situation. I mean, you know what? Trade him for Devontae Adams. Trade him a first-round pick
We
and
gotta get into that. I think Jets can make a little run.
I was saying it before. I don't see anywhere else getting him. I mean, since we brought it up, we could talk.
Segue's perfect.
Yeah, we could talk about the Jets this week. They got the first game on Sunday. They got a London game, first game internationally this year. London did not get punished like Germany is going to get punished in a few weeks with, what is it, Giants-Titans, right? Or something like that.
I think it's the Giants, right?
It's the Giants and someone else really bad.
We're not sending the best out.
I swear the Bears are playing there at one point. Maybe not.
That could be who it is. It's the Giants and it's either the Giants and the Titans or the Giants and the Bears play in
I saw a graphic of Caleb Williams walking to the London Stadium, and I'm like, okay. I'm not sure what it is, but.
Yeah, Jets at Minnesota. That one, honestly, a lot here. You got Aaron Rodgers, who has been successful in London before. I believe he is 3-1 or 2-1 in his career in London. You got Sam Darnold in a revenge game, even though it's not in New York necessarily. Like, I think Sam Darnold, without a doubt, has a mental vendetta against the New York Jets and that whole franchise. I mean, Minnesota's been on an absolute tear recently. Justin Jefferson's been clicking. Aaron Jones has played very well. I think the score even, and it's surprising to say this after looking at last week's score, the score of the game is a lot closer than how that Minnesota-Green Bay game felt. I think it was 28-7 going into half. Like Minnesota just stepped on the gas from the start of that game and was on a tear. While on the flip side, you have the Jets last week who looked like someone cut the brakes.
I could run through that team. So
Like
12 completions for 60 yards from Bo Nix, and they lost that game.
Yeah.
That's the saddest thing ever. It's not even like the run game was like insane. Javonte Williams had 77 yards. Julian McLaughlin had 46 yards. It wasn't like they had Derrick Henry running down there.
Also, if I saw it correctly, didn't Cortland Sutton have like 57 receiving yards?
Cortland Sutton was 3 receptions, 60 yards.
So he had every receiving yard of the team.
Technically not. Like there was
Yeah.
a couple guys who had 3 yards, but then some negative yards set back next to 60 total. So So, it's
But like for like if
yeah,
like
exactly.
So I didn't really watch that game, but I saw the final score and it was what 10-9.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
what happened? Because I didn't really pay attention too much to this game.
I would say the Jets offense, and now this goes back down to what a lot of people have been questioning because we didn't see it last year, and then they lost week 1, and you saw the thing with Robert Saleh came out week 1 and goes, I'd rather lose with Aaron as my quarterback than win without him. And now you have this situation where it just seemed like nobody on that offense was on the same page. Like not a single person seemed like they were on the same page. They had 20 penalties. Like the whole team was just making mistakes. AJ Hawk even made a joke because you know how Pat McAfee has Aaron Rodgers on once a week. I think it's on. I'm pretty sure it's on Tuesdays. They have him on because it's the only media Aaron talks to, so I like to listen to it.
Oh yeah.
And AJ Hawk literally makes a joke. He goes, "Bro, are you gonna go back to Ready Set Hut?" Because I think they had like 12 false starts, or it was a
Yeah.
ridiculous number like that. Like it was
They're-
double-digit false starts.
They're a team, and we'll get into this. I'll at least get into this. They're a team that reminds me of the Texans a lot right now because they have very different teams, but like you look at their offense, they have an elite quarterback, they have a great running back, they have great wide receiving options, but they are sometimes brainless, and I don't know if it's Robert Salah fraud watch time, but they have so many offensive weapons that it's like, how are you not putting up more than 10 points? I recognize the Broncos are a good defense, but
Yeah, no, they definitely are, but it's still like Garrett Wilson didn't have a bad game. Like
Rodgers, I think it was really just the run game.
that's what I like.
Brees Hall putting up
and the
24
penalties.
yards per carry is absolutely just.
Yeah, like they couldn't run the ball, and then like the penalties, 90 yards in penalties is insane.
yeah.
Like that's an insane amount.
I think
of
they were
penalties.
worse than the Texans were, and the Texans managed to pull off that game, but like penalties are just killing. Like I think I read a stat like more penalties occurred in the first week than like ever before.
And
or
then
something
like
that.
and like you saw it too. Not only that, with like there's the penalties, like and then you saw it through the first couple weeks, and I'd assume by week 4 this would be like wrinkled out, but like you're still seeing a lot of option routes. I feel like in that offense where like the receivers aren't on the same page as Aaron. You know what I'm saying? Where they're stopping, Aaron wants them to keep going or this and that, and it's just
It's not clicking for some reason. On paper it should click because they've had a. I mean, without Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers has been on the team for.
I hate to
years.
say this. I hate to say this, but it's like at the end of the day, like yeah, like I know obviously Aaron Rodgers is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and what he has showed what he can do on the field, even right now on the Jets. Like he's made some ridiculous throws, done some ridiculous things. But also, I feel like I think it has to go down to Robert Saleh and above at this point because it's just like these are mistakes you can't be making in week 4. Like you had all off season, but instead of at OTAs, you let Aaron go on his little ayahuasca trips and do whatever he wanted. Like I loved Robert Saleh when he was hired there. I really did. But it just seems like and it seems like what's his name? Mike McDaniel down there in Miami is starting to get in a similar thought to me where it's like I love the player friendliness. I do love it because these guys are adults. They're not kids anymore. You're not coaching college kids. But like there has to be some level of discipline here. Like you can't just like I feel like Aaron runs the show there. Robert Saleh don't run the show. Aaron runs the show. Aaron does whatever he wants.
I think the whole Salah thing worked a lot better when Zach Wilson was the quarterback.
That's what I mean.
He was working it through with the young quarterback. But I will say for this week, despite all we're saying negatively about the Jets, I think the Vikings are gonna have a great season. Even like they've been amazing even without Hawkinson.
Oh yeah.
But despite all we're saying, I don't see the Vikings starting 5-0. I think I'm gonna take the Jets here. And I like Aaron Rodgers in London. I like them bouncing it back.
That's the big thing for me. I like the fact that it's in London. I think Sam Darnold not having done that before is a big factor too. Or maybe I think maybe did they go with Carolina? Did Carolina ever go with him as the starter over to London?
I don't want to say yes.
So you want to say no?
I don't know.
While you're looking that up, I'll just complain more about the offensive line of the Jets. That's
another thing.
my focal point here because, as we said, Robert Saleh came from a defensive coordinator. He's a defensive-minded guy, in my opinion. So if Rodgers can run the helm on the offense, that's fine with me. But this offensive line, I think they gave up like 5 or 6 sacks last week, in addition to allowing 0.4 yards per carry for Breece Hall. Braylon Allen, the 20-year-old, is getting more and more involved in the offense, which is fine. That's really cool. But Breece Hall, like, if that's what his stat line is going to be looking like from now on.
Do you have the penalties up there? There are penalties from last week?
This is Sam Darnold's first trip to London, at least as a starter.
Yeah. It sounded like you guys didn't like my Jets pick. Are you going Vikings?
No, I do. That's what I'm saying. No, I like the Jet. I
like what you're doing, but I think I'm going to go.
It's hard because Minnesota's looked so good, but that one sentence that you saying, like, it is hard for me to believe that Minnesota's going to start 5-0. It's a really hard thing to do in the league in general. Like, it's just hard to start 5-0 in the NFL, no matter how good or bad you are. Like, it's hard to do.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to lean towards the Jets. I don't have the spread on my paper here. If you guys have it pulled up, I don't know.
Yeah, I forgot where we do that, but.
But, like, if we're just talking straight win, I think I'm going to lean the Jets. I think Aaron tends to take these trips well and all that.
Yeah.
So
he's the more seasoned quarterback, and I think he's gonna get it done. So far, Frank has disagreed with both of our picks so far.
Minnesota, Jettis likes an international. I do want to point out, I got the stat, 13 penalties for the Jets last week, 5 false starts.
Yeah, I mean, that's just like that just can't happen.
yeah.
Aaron Rodgers said that was way out of character for us. We do that every day in practice.
Vikings are favored by 2.5 points.
Okay. So, yeah, I'm gonna take the Jets. So now we get the 1 o'clock window. I mean, this week it is good that we have other stuff to talk about because I feel like.
We can.
I mean, the NFL's unpredictable, but this week seems pretty predictable.
Yeah, more predictable than last week at least.
We got Carolina going into Chicago. I don't think unless you're a Carolina or Chicago fan, I don't think many people are very excited for this.
Will not be watching.
I mean, I'll be checking in on it for Caleb Williams to see if he could finally put it together.
Yeah, give me Caleb Williams to make a bounce back.
Or if I mean, I hate to say this about someone in going into week 5, but I went into the draft all year last year going, I don't know what everyone sees in Caleb Williams. And going into week 5 of the NFL season, I will reassure myself in saying, I don't know what everybody saw in Caleb Williams.
It feels like he doesn't do anything at a high level yet.
I think a lot of people like the intangibles, kind of like
the extending plays,
yeah,
the homie type stuff.
Yeah, and that type of stuff. And like there were a lot of throws in college where like that was put on a dot. But my big thing I always went back to was with how good he was and how good of a team he kind of had there. He didn't have a great team, but he had a good team. You're telling me the best he could do was ranked 23 in the country? Like, you know what I mean? Like, he couldn't...
To me...
He couldn't even get top 10, top 15 at one point. Like, they would start with him at quarterback, both years with him at quarterback, they started at, like... I think they started at 12 one year and then 15 the next, and ended both year like number 24. Like he never won. It never clicked for me. I was like, he doesn't win. Like,
yeah, it feels like similar to college basketball players, where it's like, they're so good in college basketball, but it's a different sport when you get there.
Exactly.
Like the Buddy Boeheim.
Yeah, and like I don't know, and then Carolina, you have the situation, obviously, of this whole Andy Dalton thing. I mean,
can we not talk about this? Really?
No, not to the extent that they're going to win this. To me, Caleb Williams right now is like a more elusive, more accurate Bo Nix. It's the same scenario where I feel like his receiving core I find better in Chicago with Keenan Allen running that show. But DeAndre Swift is doing more than Jaleel McLaughlin in that running back core.
I like it.
This is actually the big reason I wanted to bring up Carolina. This was interesting. And obviously we'll talk about it in a little bit when we get down to Monday night and the Kansas City game. But with the Rashee Rice injury now in Kansas City, both Deontay Johnson and Adam Thielen look like very good trade targets.
I actually can't even picture Adam Thielen in Kansas City's scheme. It's usually a lot of speed going on there, but I wouldn't be against it. Between the two, Schefter threw both names out. Between the two, I led more towards Deontay Johnson. Yeah. Like, I think he fits well. But
I have nothing to say about this game. No one's gonna watch it. But give me the Bears.
Yeah, I'll take the Bears.
Sure.
The Bears.
Sure.
This might be game of the week. Buffalo at Houston. That one's interesting.
Buffalo's only favored by 1 point.
I think that's going to be a really, really good game. Buffalo's coming off of that tough loss against against the Ravens in Baltimore. You have Houston coming off. They
Beat the Jaguars.
Yeah, they beat the Jaguars pretty well last week.
But
Not as bad as we thought it was gonna
Yeah,
but I will say this is a situation where the Bills had a great loss. The Texans had a terrible win.
Shout out Tank Bigsby.
They looked awful. DeMarco Ryan was upset that entire game because I think they had more penalties than the Jets. They were. Their line is terrible. Obviously, they didn't have Tank Dell. He wasn't really contributing that much either. They didn't have Joe Mixon either.
They need to get him back. He was big for that offense in the first 2 weeks.
I'm still super high on Stroud. Besides 2 weeks in a row, him looking but still give me the Bills because they played a better loss than the Texans played in their win.
I think the Bills. I'm going to agree with you there, Ryan, because I think the Bills want to bounce back and make a statement win because, I wrote them off. A lot of people did. I think Buffalo, throughout this era with Josh Allen, has really thrived on being the underdog and thrived on being counted out. So I think with this team, after losing a bunch of pieces, now starting 3-0, and then they play a 1-2 Baltimore team while they're 3-0 and they lose, I think they want to come back, play Houston. I think they're gonna have like you said, Houston was sloppy. Buffalo's never really been sloppy.
No, they're gonna play the more professional game. What are you gonna say?
I'm gonna do it.
Stop.
Houston at home, and this is gonna be the week to me. And I'm still gonna stream Khalil Shakir in fantasy this week. I'm gonna eat my words when I say this. This is gonna be the week where the Bills receiving core is gonna get slightly exposed in the sense that Houston can handle Shakir and Curtis Samuel, and Dalton Kincaid has not been that special to this offense right now. To me, Houston, if they can play well defensively, that offense, I don't think Mixon practiced today, which is not looking great.
Yeah, this all kind of depends on the status of Mixon.
Yeah.
They have Dameon Pierce, who I think is also out, but then Cam Akers would show up to be. That running back core, wow.
It's insane.
No, it's
crazy,
so deep, but still, like Joe Mixon's such a playmaker and just fits into that offense so well. It's
and Collins and Diggs have arguably been
Nico's been the best receiver in football, right?
Both
now.
top five
Nico
in
Collins is
the league
100%.
right now?
He's averaging like 8 receptions.
Would you agree with that? They're both top 5, maybe even top 3 wide receivers in the league.
I don't know if I want to push Diggs that high, but
Diggs has been
Nico
incredible as
Collins is
well.
insane, and Tank Dell's there too.
Yeah.
It's such a loaded offense that I'm gonna lead them both.
Schultz ain't bad either.
Yeah.
Hopefully this game could be sneaky good because the home team, this next game, can get their ish back together. We got the Ravens coming off that big win going into Cincinnati.
Ooh.
Keeping it simple, give me Baltimore. The momentum is being picked up. This offense is looking as good as we expected it to look at the start of the year. I think that if Zay Flowers keeps it up, if this offense comes together, maybe involve the tight ends a little bit more, Lamar is really piecing it together, and the Bengals are just slowing down more and more.
If that Baltimore defense looks anything like how they looked against Buffalo last week, this game won't even be close. This game won't even be close.
You mean the Ravens as well? I think to have the most underrated wide receiver room in the league.
I think that receiver room took a huge step up this offseason.
No one talks about them. They have good receiving options along with Derrick Henry. This might be I don't want to say it's a blowout, but Bengals are not looking too good.
I'm gonna take Baltimore, but I will throw this out there just to hedge my bet. Don't be surprised if Cincinnati wins a close game.
I won't be.
Zach Moss goes for 3 touchdowns.
Don't be surprised if Cincinnati sneaks out a 24-21 victory off a Evan McPherson field goal.
Yeah, that's fair. We got a lot of games to go.
Yeah. Indy, Jacksonville. I think this one could kind of be skipped over. I don't really care about Jacksonville at all this year. They've just disappointed me over and over again. That I don't really even want them on my TV.
We're gonna bet against Jacksonville every time. Let's just go Colts.
No, you know what? I'm gonna be the first to do it. I'm gonna pick the Jaguars to get their first win against the Colts. Did they beat Pittsburgh last week? They won at Pittsburgh, but I will say the offensive weapons that the Jaguars have.
Is AR playing this week? Anthony Richardson?
I'm not sure. But the defense of the Jaguars looked pretty good last week against a great offense. And God, who was it? I just picked him up on fantasy. What is his
Tank
name?
Bigsby, the running back.
No. Oh my God, what is his name?
Christian
Kirk. Christian Kirk was great last year, and I'm still high on ETN. I think he has Pro Bowl potential.
Is the Pro Bowl even an award anymore?
Sure. I'm saying I think he has like the potential to be talked about in a positive sense. He has great legs, and Trevor Lawrence I think actually looked pretty good. And Doug Peterson is a great coach. I think give me the Jaguars at home.
I think in the weirdest way possible, right? If Anthony Richardson is not playing and Joe Flacco is the starter,
They'll have a better shot at winning.
give me the Colts.
I was about to say, it looks like Richardson is probably going to be back because the coach is even saying that even off a little practice, he should be ready to go. But I was also going to make the same point that if Flacco's playing...
Like, if Flacco's playing, don't count out Joe Flacco. Not Joe Flacco.
Give me Indianapolis.
Bro, my friend actually went to that game last week in Indianapolis because his friend's a Steelers fan, and he lives up over there. So he took the trip out, and I texted him at halftime. I go, Joe Flacco's elite.
Yeah, if Richardson's playing, put me down for 3 interceptions and the Jaguars winning. But sure, I'm still taking the Jaguars.
This game was gonna be like a fun blowout at the beginning of the year, but now Tua's injured. So you have Miami with Skylar Thompson, or is Snoop starting this week? Do we got Pro Bowler Snoop Huntley in there yet?
I'm assuming it's Huntley again. Which is sad because I thought Huntley was actually going to do something good last week. I thought Tyreek was going to go for like 70 yards.
And then we got against the New England Patriots, who I don't know.
Yeah, this is kind of a boring game in my opinion, despite great teams playing.
Give me Miami. They just have more weapons.
McDaniel's got to open up that offense a little bit more.
Give me the Patriots. I don't think the Dolphins perform well in cold weather. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'll say.
Is it gonna be cold this weekend though? Like,
I don't know.
I think if Miami's getting a win, it's now.
yeah, I'm gonna take Miami too.
Give me the Pats.
Cleveland at Washington. Jalen Daniels, man. Jaden Daniels.
That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I think that's the point I have to make there. The man's been on a roll. Back-to-back years where the 2 pick seems to be better than the 1 pick, and that's just, hey, it's a 50-50 shot in that situation. I can't blame one team for picking draft's a guessing game. The Redskins got lucky. The Texans got lucky. They got the studs. Jaden Daniels seems to be an absolute stud on both. Using his legs as well seems to be a huge threat.
He's for real. If I was the Browns, I would start Jameis Winston, and I would pray. I would just start praying.
If you're starting Jameis Winston,
Njoku's out as well.
well, are you trying to win games?
I don't know. I just like Jameis Winston.
Well, that's right.
Deshaun Watson.
If you're trying to win games, then you definitely put Jameis Winston in because that man will do anything in his soul to win a game.
I trust him to pull out a win more than Deshaun Watson.
Will the result be successful if Jameis Winston does?
No, he'll throw 3 interceptions, but
he'll throw 4 touchdowns.
That'll be a fun
That's
game to
the
watch.
crazy thing about Jameis Winston.
That'd be such a fun game to watch too. Oh my God, Jameis Winston for Jaden Daniels. All right, anyway.
But yeah, I'm taking Washington at home there.
Washington as well.
Actually, before we move on, I do want to throw this out there. Can this kind of be the resurgence that gets Washington to finally build a new goddamn stadium?
And
What you got against the stadium?
and get an actual.
Bro, I took a trip down there, bro. I thought MetLife was bad. Take MetLife and just have the pipes showing, and that's FedEx Field. I saw like 4 pipes leaking. I got a special prize. This is the best story of the whole thing. I get to my seat, right? We actually have pretty good seats, me and my friend. There's a paper on our seat, right? Special prize. We're like, oh, word, we got the special tickets. They're like, you got to pick up your prize by halftime, though. It's like mid-second quarter. He's a Packers fan. Packers are losing. So we're like, yo, let's just go get the prize real quick. When I tell you, some lady who works for the Commanders handed me the cheapest pair of plastic sunglasses I have ever laid my 2 hands on. I was like, this is what you hand to your fans? This is your special prize to your fans?
Washington
Thank God Dan Schneider stole that team. Thank God there's no more Dan Schneider.
Yeah, let's move on. Commanders probably by like 20.
Yeah.
So
Vegas at Denver. This one could get interesting. But I think I'm going to take Bo Nix. I like that team a lot.
I can't say Bo Nix is going to keep going. Give me the Raiders.
I've said this since week 4 ended. Give me Gardner Minshew to have a better game than Bo Nix, and that's all. That's the only reason I'm saying Raiders.
I'm going to take Denver. I'm going to take Denver to move to 3-2. Arizona at San Francisco. This could be sneaky good. I think this is like that Cincinnati-Baltimore game where it's like, if you look at this, you either have, I could see Arizona sneaking up if Trey McBride is playing, like, you know what I mean? If they have their pieces playing and making it close.
I think Ayuk needs to.
That's what I mean.
Needs to step up.
You get one big play from San Francisco early, this could get out of hand.
When good teams are stumbling, I can't believe that it's going to continue. So I feel like the 49ers will pick it up now.
I agree.
Especially with the defense that the 49ers have, I feel like that's a team, if anything, that can handle Marvin Harrison. So give me
I agree. Give me San Francisco. Green Bay at LA.
I like this game.
You're in a weird. You're in a really interesting spot as Green Bay, I feel like. Because you have Jordan Love, who kind of came back a little early from his injury, who is currently 0-2 on the season as a starting quarterback. You have Malik Willis, who was really clicking in that offense and is 2-0. Like, I don't feel like you can go back, obviously, because Jordan Love's your guy. Like, to just straight out bench him at this point.
It's insulting.
It would be
He looks like a starting quarterback, in my opinion.
But what I'm saying is to straight up, that's what I'm saying. But, like, now that you went back to Jordan Love, to bench Jordan Love would be insulting to the dude who's now your franchise guy. Mm-hmm. But, like, he's got to look good this week, I feel like. There will be noise heard in Green Bay if Jordan Love is 0-3 and Malik Willis is 2-0. And they go 2-3. You know what I mean?
It's so devastating to see Malik Willis doing so good when Will Levis, where Malik Willis came from, is just pooping every game.
I'm going to take Green Bay to get a big win here, though.
Really?
Yeah.
I think this Packers team is too banged up. It's not just Love. It's Christian Watson. It's Romeo Doubs.
But LA is the definition of banged up.
Sure. But Kyron Williams has looked good enough that I think they can hold off on. I mean, when's Cooper Kupp coming back?
But I think that's the thing is I'm going to be honest. Kyron Williams is good, but if we're going to say that this is a battle of the backfields, I'm taking Green Bay's backfield. I'm taking Josh Jacobs and Emmanuel Wilson.
Sure.
Over just Kyron Williams.
This is the toughest matchup to me of the week.
I don't know.
Packers are favored by 3.
I like Green Bay.
I'm going to lean LA and SoFi.
I'll take LA.
Giants going up to Seattle. Do they stand a chance?
No.
Do they stand a chance?
Seahawks by 20 billion thousand
Seahawks put up
points.
a great game against Detroit. This is not.
And then, all right, Sunday night, Dallas at Pittsburgh. This is a rough game to be a primetime game. Like, why is that my Sunday night football game? Yeah. Is it really just, it's just because it's the Cowboys?
I said it once, I'll say it again. The Steelers are so boring.
So boring.
I want Fields to be more entertaining.
Fields is going to eat the Cowboys defense.
You can't let him be more entertaining, though, because as soon as you do, he throws 2 interceptions, and it gets ugly.
No. Give me Justin Fields to pick apart that Cowboys defense, and give me the Steelers.
What's the spread?
2.5. The Steelers are.
Dallas can't be under 500 after 5
They
weeks.
will be.
Give me Dallas.
Don't worry. What you got, Logan?
Dallas's defense has just looked so bad.
It's probably the worst.
And is Micah Parsons playing this week?
Nope. Parsons is out.
Then yeah, give me Pittsburgh.
What are they facing though? Like
George Pickens, Najee Harris, Jalen Warren, a really good offensive line.
And they're facing one of the best offensive coaching staffs in the league.
Yeah, with Arthur Smith up there, and a really good defense. Justin Fields, TJ Watt's back, I'm pretty sure. Give me Pittsburgh.
Steelers.
So Monday night is the night that New Orleans Saints are going to put themselves on the map against the former Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs. Going into Kansas City, I think it could be close. I don't know. I haven't checked. I don't know if Taysom Hill's playing this week. That's a big part of the Saints' offense. I mean, everyone kind of saw it last week. Taysom Hill got injured and missed the second half, and the Saints fell apart. They didn't know what to do. I think what it is why he's such a big part of that offense is it's not only just what he can do on the field, right? Because he's good at everything. He's not great at one thing, but he's good at everything. But it's the wild card of him. I think just how when he's on the field as a defensive coach, you don't know what he's gonna do.
Taysom Hill, you're talking about? I don't watch Saint games, but now I kind of want to.
You don't know what he's gonna do. I mean, he hasn't thrown the ball in years, but that was a thing. So there was all that. So I don't know. My heart's telling me to pick the Saints, but my brain's telling me to pick the Chiefs. So
to me, looking at the opponents that the Chiefs have played so far, I'm really putting the Saints in the second best out of everything, just behind the Ravens. I think they're better than the Falcons, even though they lost to them. I think they're better than, arguably, the Bengals, and they're better than the Chargers to me. This team has shown that they can be beat on the offensive end when he doesn't touch the ball, when all the other things go downhill. If the Chiefs can perform without Rashee Rice, which they did for most of that game last week, if Xavier Worthy is up in a better spot, like we talked about before, if they're going to get another wide receiver soon, that would be great for this offense.
And they don't have a run game.
What scares me about the Saints, though, I mean, one thing that's interesting, I mean, he hasn't been good for a while, but Clyde Edwards-Helaire is supposed to come back, and Kareem Hunt didn't do terrible last week. So if you could get half of what both of those dudes used to be, and you could split carries with them, you have at least something there. And then
Hilaire is out. Hilaire and Hunt are both. Hilaire's out. Hunt's questionable.
Okay. What scares me about this game for the Saints was you go back to when they played Philly. Dallas Goedert ripped them apart.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce is just way better than that. So if Travis can do what he did last week and just figure out how to get open, he can tear this team apart.
This is the most boring pick. Like I'm gonna pick the Chiefs. I'm not gonna be happy about it, and whatever.
All right.
That would be remarkable with the roster they're putting.
But I
right
believe
now,
that more than the Vikings.
I'm gonna-
Stadium, give me the Chiefs.
I'm gonna just let my bias take my mind over here, and I'm gonna take the Saints.
I like it.
Let's have Kamara have 100 yards, Rashid Shaheed have 100 yards, and Olave have 10 receptions, 2 touchdowns, and like 7 yards for some reason, because that's always how it fucking goes. Excuse me.
You're good.
But so moving on, we don't have a lot of time left. I do want to talk about UFC for a little bit, but I want to talk about this first because you guys know the information here. Baseball playoffs. How are we looking here? So
We got a fun wild card series.
I know Kansas City winning wasn't supposed to happen.
No, and it just goes back to the Orioles just being regular season merchants. They haven't won a playoff game since 2014.
To be fair, last year I think they were taken down by Texas, weren't they?
Sure, but Texas is now not even in the playoffs. So
Yeah, but that team, like, when you lose to a team that ends up winning it all,
we have a lot of exciting teams. Like besides the top 4, Mets, Tigers. I know the Mets aren't in yet, but Tigers, Royals, San Diego, and possibly the Mets or Brewers. Those are all really fun teams that compete against the top 4. Obviously, in the Yankees, Phillies.
I think San Diego's really interesting, especially the way that I saw a little bit of how they played in their wild card against who'd they play?
Braves.
The Braves. And the Braves
They
are good.
destroyed
Yeah,
them.
the Braves are a solid team too. Like,
Yeah.
I can't even describe how exciting the San Diego is.
yeah.
It's so good. When you talk about San Diego, they say all the time how they have the best pitching staff. They have Musgrove, Cease, Darvish. They have Michael King, who pitched 7 phenomenal.
Don't they have Snell too?
No, Snell left a while ago, and they have the best bullpen in the league. On paper, they have the best pitching. But then you also look at their lineup: Arise, Tatis, Jackson Merrill, Machado, Hae-Sung Kim, Cronenworth, and that's without Bogarts.
You know, it'd be a fun matchup just because of the story. Give me like a Yankees-Padres World Series with Soto leaving.
Yeah, it's a
Oh,
great
literally.
game.
Like, that'd be
Yankees
such a
playing
story.
Any of the top 4 teams would be so fun.
That'd be such an interesting story. With you have those dudes in San Diego that the Yankees traded away.
They've been great for
If you
them.
were looking at a bracket right now in the postseason picture, the Yankees on the left side is really the only thing that matches up with any of these powerhouses on the NL coming up.
Who's in the AL? It's the
It's 3 AL
Tigers,
Central.
Tigers, Guardians, and Royals. I don't think those teams are competing with San Diego or LA.
I mean, the Guardians have been clicking late this year. They
Yeah,
looked really good late this year.
But I think the Tigers have just enough juice right now that I think they're gonna take down the Guardians. I don't know.
What I'm thinking, this is
I
my
don't
pick
know.
right here before we really get into the divisional, the next round here with the DS. If the Yankees do not end up in the World Series, it's a National League championship. That is my pick.
Oh, for sure.
All right, I'll go this far. I'll even go this far, even though I'm not like a giant baseball fan, and maybe this is my bias taking over. If the Yankees don't make the World Series and Boone is our manager next year, I'm gonna riot.
That's a completely
Like,
fair
I'm gonna
statement.
riot if they
All
don't
of-
make the World Series this year and Boone doesn't get booted out of town.
All of these teams in the AL picture have done more with way less. We have Soto and Judge, probably the best duo in the past 20, 30, 40 years, would you say, Frank?
Soto and who?
Soto and Judge,
Judge, yeah.
best duo in the
Who's that guy?
Okay, and
Who's that guy? Who's like number 99 or something? The tall guy on the Yankees, right?
Best in a while.
I've never felt this confident about the Yankees, and that scares me to my core because I've gone into since 2017. I've gone into this to every postseason saying the Yankees, they might not be the best team, but I believe in them. This is the one time this year where I truly think they are the best team at least on the AL side. They've dominated the Guardians throughout the past 7 years. The Royals they convincingly beat in the picture. Detroit doesn't have a starter outside of Tariq Skubal. It's been Skubal and then bullpen arms.
What's up with Jazz in the Yankees? Like, is he done for the whole playoffs or like?
Jazz is.
Or is he
Jazz
playing?
Because
Because I know he got injured towards the end of the year.
He had an injury scare with his throwing arm, but I think he came back. Nobody that you would think is injured on the Yankees right now is injured.
Okay.
Stanton is fully cleared.
Schmidt's fine.
LeMahieu's going to come back, even though we probably don't even want him. Oh no, Rizzo is out, but
Oh, that just happened again.
Yeah, I think Ben Rice is going to fill in nicely.
I mean,
give me the Yankees and Phillies if I had to make a bet on who.
To your point on the American League being so Yankee dominant right now, we have to mention Houston for the first time in how many years is it that they're not moving on?
Since 2017, the first non-ALCS appearance.
Yeah, exactly. This is crazy for Houston to be out this early.
Yeah.
Getting swept by Detroit of any team. We really think that second game was out Skubal pitching.
And to be beat by AJ Hinch, who started that entire Astros dynasty. It kind of feels like the end for this squad, and it feels like the AL is so wide open for the Yankees that if they don't take it, we have to make Soto might leave. New York is gonna riot either way.
The saddest part to me, also, this is really a side note that I'm just gonna bring up here before we move on. What is Justin Verlander's career now that he did not move along with Houston on the roster to the Detroit series?
He didn't. He again lost to his former team in the Tigers. Didn't even get a chance to pitch. I
mean, how old is he now? He's got to be like.
He's not 40 yet?
You don't think he's 40?
Yeah, I was gonna say he's got to be at least 40. I remember when I remember Verlander. I remember prime Verlander.
I mean, who'd they throw even out there? Hunter Brown came too. I feel like throwing Verlander in the roster wouldn't have been the worst, but. The NL, though, we got to talk about for at least a second. The NL is going to be such a fun series. It's either going to be the Mets or the Brewers. I think the Mets pull it off, despite their pitching being a question mark. I don't know who's starting for the Brewers, but Woodruff is out. Montes is not pitching, and I guess that was Peralta. Who is starting for the Brewers? Do you have that up front?
Check that out. I think it's Tobias Myers.
I mean, I don't know.
Tobias Myers.
I think the Mets could pull it out, but maybe I'm saying this just because I'm a Yankees fan. Something about when the Mets win makes me want to fight a Mets fan. They get so annoying. They're like Cowboys fans. I thought the Yankees were bad. I thought we were bad when we were where we feel like we're gonna win the World Series every year. The Mets, the influx of emotions of Mets fans from going we're the worst team in baseball to literally 2 days later telling me you're going to win the World Series is insane.
I saw a lot of talk about how the Mets have this underdog mentality despite having the
highest payroll.
I don't know if you can I don't know which side I agree with that because yes, they came into this series being probably top 2 projected in the NL West or NL East. They fell down and they came back. To me, that's not really.
No.
They're not as much of an underdog as the Brewers are.
No.
The Brewers have had a phenomenal season, and I think it's gonna be a great game today.
I favor Tobias Myers over the lefty Quintana, but Quintana's probably gonna go 4, come out, get the bullpen going.
Brewers have also hit lefties hard. They destroyed Manaea. Jackson Churio has looked insane. Willie Adames has been
the young
great.
core of Milwaukee has been incredible. But
And without even Christian Yelich.
I feel like the Mets are gonna pull.
I think it's gonna.
Did they just get washed by Philly?
Oh, they're not. They're not getting. There might.
I don't know if either of the teams beat Philly.
No, of course not. No.
Philly
is advancing.
Yeah.
Really, the only series I'm looking at right now in the divisional series is the Dodgers-Padres.
That's going to be so fun. I think
That's
we're in for a really fun. This whole October, though, I think is going to be
Yeah.
I think we're in for a good baseball playoffs here.
I will say, Royals pitchers have dominated the Yankees, but I think the more fun series is going to be the matchups between the Dodgers. Machado's former team. Clayton Kershaw maybe gets a start down the line. I don't know how this rotation is looking out besides Yamamoto, Glasnow, and Flaherty, but it's really probably the 2 most exciting teams right now in baseball are facing off against each other.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
who I'd pick in this
The
series.
National League is so incredible.
But that is not all that's on Saturday,
Yeah.
because we are running out of time. I do want to talk about this a little bit. We do have UFC 307 this weekend, which will be so much fun. In Salt Lake City, Utah, I think will be very, very interesting. You got Alex Pereira, main event. You got Alex Pereira defending his belt against Khalil Roundtree. Obviously, Alex's last fight, that big knockout win over Yuri, that will be huge. This one should be a wash for Alex Pereira realistically, but you never know at the end of the day. A lot of weird things happen in Salt Lake City, especially you're up there. A lot of switches with the altitude and oxygen and stuff like that. Fighters don't necessarily always prepare correctly, but this one should be just like on paper, just a brawl. You got two dudes who, between the two of them, there's one takedown attempt and one successful takedown, and that was by Alex against Izzy in one of their fights a while back. So, like, this one should just be an absolute brawl. I mean, obviously, all the lines are showing Alex Pereira to win. I think the run that Alex Pereira has been on since he stepped in the UFC, has beaten 5 current or former champions, all by knockout, has just absolutely been on a tear, is someone that, like, literally, it's so fun to watch him fight because anything he throws can just put someone to sleep. This should be a good one. In the co-main event, you got Rocky Pennington against Juliana Pena. Pena coming back. Her last fight was back in 22 against Amanda Nunes. When she lost, she's making a comeback. That one should be good. I'm gonna go with Rocky Pennington on that. I hate Juliana Pena because she's like, Amanda Nunes, you retired because you're scared of me. Her last fight, she beat you. She's not scared of you. So stop talking. And then you didn't fight for 2 years because she wouldn't fight you. She's not running from you. She just beat you and proved that she was the greatest women fighter of all time. So you got that. Jose Aldo, big fight against Mario Bautista. Roman Dolidze against Kevin Holland. That one should be a good one. A lot of these other main card fights, I mean, they're big names if you look them up. Kevin Holland loves to fight. He's always a fun one. Loves to talk about a lot of trash, known as Big Mouth. Jose Aldo, legend in the game. So this one should definitely be an extremely, extremely fun one to watch. Fun one to review for you guys on Tuesday. But that is all I got for you guys. Thank you, Ryan.
Can I say one more thing?
Yes.
Cat and the Knicks.
Oh.
Best starting lineup in
110%.
NBA. Sorry, that's all I'll say. Let's go next.
Dante DiVincenzo, bye-bye. Get out of here.
We love you, Big Wagyu.
Julius Randle, thank God you got
Bye.
out of town. Thank God. I've been talking about it since the Hawks series. Thank God you got out of town. Go Knicks. Cat, welcome to New York.
Princeton MVP. Yeah, no, we're good. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
That's all I got for you guys today. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Frank. See everybody next week. Peace out.